The night Isabella Carter found the hidden phone, her entire world shattered in a silence so loud it felt like it was screaming inside her chest. It wasn't the messages at first that broke her, it was the way her husband, Daniel Carter, had smiled at her just hours before, kissed her forehead, and told her she was the best thing that had ever happened to him. That smile replayed in her mind as her trembling fingers unlocked the device, her heartbeat rising with every second, as if her body already knew what her heart refused to accept. And when the truth finally appeared in front of her, cold, undeniable, cruel, it didn't just hurt, it erased everything she thought was real. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of the human heart, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything. Isabella had always been the kind of woman people admired quietly. She wasn't loud, nor did she demand attention, but her warmth had a way of filling every room she walked into. She had built her life around love, love for her family, for her home, and most of all, for Daniel. They met when they were young, full of dreams, promising each other a future that felt unbreakable. Over the years, Isabella had sacrificed more than she ever admitted. She stepped back from her career to support Daniel's ambitions, stood by him during his failures, celebrated his successes as if they were her own, and believed, truly believed, that loyalty and love were enough to build a forever. But forever, she would soon learn, can be a carefully crafted illusion. At first, the changes in Daniel were small. Late nights at work, distracted conversations, a subtle distance that Isabella tried to ignore. She convinced herself it was stress, that success had brought new pressures, that marriage naturally evolved over time. She silenced the quiet voice in her heart that whispered something wasn't right. Because sometimes, the truth is too painful to even consider. Until that night. The phone she found wasn't his usual one. It was hidden in the back of a drawer, tucked beneath old documents as if it didn't belong to him at all. But it did. And everything inside it confirmed her worst fears. Messages filled with intimacy, promises, laughter, things he no longer shared with her. Photos that captured a version of him she hadn't seen in years. And at the center of it all was another woman, Emily Rhodes, someone Isabella had never heard of, yet who seemed to know every part of her husband she once believed was hers alone. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was emotional, deliberate, and ongoing. It was a second life. In that moment, Isabella felt something inside her break, but strangely, she didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, a calm settled over her, unnatural and heavy, like the stillness before a storm. Because beneath the pain, something else was forming, something stronger, sharper, and far more dangerous than heartbreak. Clarity. The next morning, Isabella woke up before Daniel, made breakfast like she always did, and kissed him goodbye as if nothing had changed. But everything had. Behind her soft smile was a mind already at work, carefully piecing together the truth, planning her next steps with a precision that even surprised her. She didn't confront him immediately. She didn't scream or demand answers. Instead, she watched. She listened. She gathered evidence, not just for closure, but for something much bigger. Because Isabella wasn't just going to walk away quietly. She had given years of her life to a man who had built a lie around her, and she refused to let that lie define her ending. Days turned into weeks, and Isabella transformed in ways no one noticed at first. She became more attentive, more present, almost as if she was trying harder in the marriage. Daniel, blinded by his own deception, didn't question it. He welcomed the comfort, unaware that every moment Isabella spent with him was another step toward a truth he wouldn't be able to escape. Meanwhile, Isabella began rebuilding herself. She reconnected with her old career contacts, started working again in secret, and slowly regained the independence she had once given up. Each small victory reminded her of who she was before the betrayal, a woman capable of standing on her own, of creating her own future. But her plan didn't stop there. She discovered that Daniel's affair wasn't just emotional, it was tied to financial deceit. Money had been redirected, investments hidden, assets quietly shifted. The man she trusted with her life had been preparing for an exit, one that would leave her with nothing. And that realization ignited something deeper within her, not just pain, but a fierce determination to reclaim everything that had been taken from her. Isabella sought legal advice, documented every transaction, every message, every detail that could expose the truth. She played her role perfectly, never revealing what she knew, never giving Daniel a reason to suspect anything. And as the pieces fell into place, her plan became clear. The confrontation, when it finally came, wasn't explosive, it was devastatingly calm. It happened during a dinner Isabella had carefully arranged, inviting close friends and business associates, including people Daniel deeply respected. The atmosphere was warm, celebratory, and completely unsuspecting. Until Isabella stood up, her hands steady, her voice unwavering, and began to speak. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply told the truth. Every detail of Daniel's double life unfolded in front of everyone, his affair, his lies, his financial manipulation. Evidence was presented with quiet precision, leaving no room for denial. The room fell into a heavy silence, the kind that crushes everything in its path. Daniel's face drained of color, his carefully constructed world collapsing in real time. But Isabella wasn't finished. She revealed that she had already taken legal action, securing her rights, protecting her assets, and ensuring that Daniel would face the consequences of his actions. The man who thought he had control over everything was now left with nothing but the reality of what he had done. And in that moment, Isabella didn't feel revenge. She felt freedom. The days that followed were not easy. Healing never is. There were nights filled with tears, moments of doubt, echoes of the life she once had. But with each passing day, Isabella grew stronger. She rebuilt her life piece by piece, not as someone's wife, but as herself. Emily disappeared from Daniel's life as quickly as she had entered, leaving behind the wreckage of a relationship built on deception. And Daniel, once so confident in his control, was left to face the consequences of his choices alone. Isabella, however, chose a different path. She focused on her growth, her passions, and the people who truly cared for her. She learned that strength isn't about never breaking, it's about finding the courage to rebuild after you do. And in the end, she didn't just survive the betrayal. She rose above it. If this story touched your heart, if you felt Isabella's pain, her strength, her transformation, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the power within us all. And before we reach the end, it is a special request, write "I choose my worth" in the comments if you believe no one deserves to be treated as an option. Because Isabella's story isn't just about betrayal, it's about rediscovering your value when someone else forgets it. And sometimes, the most powerful revenge is becoming someone they can never reach again.